Every time the
Recording. Awesome. How's everyone doing? Good? I'm doing great. Thank you. Love the audience participation. Excellent. So we want to get going, but I wanted to ask, I'm going to start off. I like to start off with positivity, put you on the spot a little bit. So I'm going to ask you if there's something that's going well, either in your business or something that you're excited about, or something that even just has got you jazzed up these days. What's a positive note? Yep.
Real estate, and she asked me to find her an investment real estate property, and I was very excited about that.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yep. Getting business going. Yep. Excellent. What else? Maybe one or two more. Got to have a few positive things. Either that or all of our lives are just D1 soccer. Yes. Yep. Mike, the soccer mom. Yep. I'd be proud of that. I'm proud of that. That's awesome. Anything else? What else? One more. What's positive going on right now? Yes. Here, this 1 second, this way we can hear you.
Well, I'm excited that my husband is back from Washington so he can work on our remodel for a house.
Awesome. Yep. It's tough when your slave labor leaves town. Yep. That's why I try to leave quite a bit. No. Excellent. Okay. Well, we've got a mortgage minute and also a vendor spotlight, both from Intralend, and we want to give a little bit of time and shout out here because they are bringing lunch for us a little bit later as well.
Yeah, we'll have Chick-fil-A coming in just a little bit. Thanks, Tyler. So for the mortgage minute, I just wanted to tell you the CPI, or the Consumer Price Index, came out today. So as you guys know, the Federal Reserve has been raising rates to try and stave off inflation, right? So the Consumer Price Index came out this week, and they'll make a lot of their decisions based on that report. The Consumer Price Index is basically how they measure inflation. They had predicted that it was going to be at 8.1% over the year and 0.1% over the month. It ended up, of course, higher. So 8.3% over the year and 0.3% over the month. So when the Fed has been raising rates, they'll usually raise them like 50 basis points, 75, maybe 100. So since the report shows that inflation has not come down to their expectation or even lower, then they'll probably raise rates high on the high side. So 75 to 100 basis points next week. So you can imagine that right now, banks are planning on that and hedging for it. So they're going to be raising their rates this week between 75, more likely 100, because they'll always do worst case scenario, you know. But anyway, so rates are probably gonna, within the next month or so, it'll take a little bit, but rates will be impacted. But anyway, yeah, they're kind of on the higher side. They're still trying to fight off inflation. The Fed has said, though, like when they see some good, their expectations hit or better, then they'll start slowing down on the quantitative easing, on raising rates for everybody. So that'll help, but that's kind of the mortgage minute I have. Does anybody have any questions about that or anything else? Yeah. Sure. So the federal,
restate the question just for our Zoom people.
Oh yeah. So I'm answering the question of basically what I'm talking about, what the basis points are, what the Fed raising rates is, and what that means. So banks borrow money from the Federal Reserve and from each other. The Federal Reserve sets the interest rate that banks borrow money from the Federal Reserve and each other from. As of course, you know, they'll always pass that rate on to the consumer. So when the Fed raises the rate from whatever it's at by by 50 basis points, it means 0.5%. So basically the Fed is going to raise interest rates a little bit, and that directly affects things like anything variable rate or credit cards, things like that. And then over the next little bit of time, it spills over into mortgage and other interest rates like of about 0.5% on whatever interest you guys are paying across the board. Unless you have a fixed rate on your stuff, it'll raise 0.5%. Yeah, exactly. Or 1.1%. Exactly. Yeah, because of the consumer price index, so the inflation not being as low as they had hoped, the Fed is going to raise rates higher to stop people from borrowing, because it incentivizes you when there's a high interest rate to borrow any money. So they're trying to stop people from all this spending to curb inflation. And that's how they do it, is they raise the interest rate so people stop spending and borrowing as much as they do. Yes, Jesse.
When he says raising the Fed fund rate, that doesn't exactly mean it's going to go up 1% on mortgage rates. Mortgage rates react based on how the markets react to that rate going up. So it could be lower, it could be reversed, it could go down. It just depends on how the market reacts to that Fed fund rate raising. So
100%. Actually, that's more than true. In fact, the time before when the Fed rose rates, they rose it higher than expected, but actually rates improved from that one. So, but yeah, it can be, it all depends on expectation and how the market, most of what affects interest rates is not what the Fed does, but the reaction and the news to what the Fed does. So that affects it by about 60%. The Fed's actual action only affects the markets by like 40%. So it's the market reaction to the news. But yes.
So, and just to add to that, as agents, I would be prepared for some panic buyers and be ready to maybe calm them down a little bit, because they're going to see the news and they're going to see that the Feds raised the rates by 1%, and they're going to call you and say, can't afford a house now. Rates just went up 1%. And just make sure you're talking to your mortgage lender, because that doesn't directly translate over to mortgages. So.
Exactly right. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. Thanks a ton, Tyler.
Awesome. Let's give him a round of applause. Thank you. All right. We want to let you know a couple things that are coming up before we get into our meet. We've got Bold that is right around the corner. I know I ask this every time, but who's been to Bold before? Okay. So you've got about half the room. So about half has not. I'm just going to leave it to, if you are looking to increase your business, usually on average, if you engage and you actually go to Bold and participate, you'll get about 14 transactions from this. If you're looking to grow your business or add a few transactions or get a little bit extra push this fall, there is, in my opinion right now, there is not a better program for you to spend your energy and your time and your investment into this fall. It's a great time because a lot of times we kind of take our foot off the gas a little bit, heading into Christmas, and we think that things are slowing down, or maybe we're worried about the market or whatever. But right now, this is what you should focus on. And there is an investment into it. It's about, it's at $7.99. Someone correct me if I believe that's correct. But the first day is free. We can get some info. Please, right now, actually, we're trying to get people to, we need to know numbers roughly by Friday. So put this up here. You can scan. It's an Eventbrite that you guys can register and plan on being there. It's October 10th for the first day. You get free coaching out of that, and it will explain, of course, what the rest of the program is, should you decide to be a part of it. But if for someone who I've done it 3 times myself, we have multiple people. Terry, you've done it 5 times, 5 or 600. But she has a goal to do it. How many times? 10. And why is that? Gary says so, period. The end. He is, and he was named the top real estate guy last year. So I guess if he says something, we should follow it. But no, this is one of those programs that will encourage you. It will help you get, it's not just to learn and do nothing with it. It is, you will apply what you learn and you'll get going on it right away. So please take 1 second right now, scan that, put your, realize I might not be sharing this over Zoom, share my screen. So let me do that. Share. That way you guys can, something going on with it. Yeah, scan this, sign up for at least that first day. And I would encourage you, if you already know that you want to do this and take a stand for your business, then just sign up and do it. If you know that you're going to do it, then go ahead and just sign up for the full bowl. Awesome. Any questions, comments on that? All right. Clint, all read. Hopefully you guys have heard by now, and that it's not news, but yeah, we're trying to do a big push around him. And this is something that we love our agents. This is culture. This is what we do. When someone is in need, we step up and find a way to help out. So if you don't know the story, Clint is on his 3rd round of chemo. The last time so he's had leukemia. He's only 22, 23. He's young, and to have gone through this already so many times. The little bit of the story, if you didn't see my video I put out about a week or so ago, or any of the extra emails we've been trying to put out, is his story is he had chemo, or he had leukemia twice. He's gone through the whole rounds, and they say that when you hit 5 years after your last chemo, that you should be in the clear. I think probably this week or maybe next week would be 5 years for him. He was this close to what we would maybe call the finish line. So it is a scary thing, and it is something that is, he found out, I would say, started feeling weird Monday, went and did blood work Tuesday, and was admitted and already doing surgery by Thursday. This is one of those things to put the reality in your own life. I mean, it makes me think, wow, my life is pretty good. I mean, when you think of those things that can just turn your life around from one day literally to the next, is a scary thing. He's looking at selling. He's got big goals for investment properties, and in order to pay for this and help out, he's looking at needing to sell some homes. And so it is something that we are trying to help out as a brokerage. And that's what this is. It's casino night this Friday. We want everyone to come. It's all donations that go to him. It's a $50 buy-in, and that'll just give you, there's food involved. Food will be for free. You can get drinks there as well. Bring a little bit extra cash for that. And then just come and have a good time. And we'll have some auctions out there. We did put out on our Facebook page that if you guys have anything that you would like to auction off to donate, then we would encourage you also let us know, let me know. And we can donate that. Or if it's a service, maybe you guys have a talent that you would like to share, or you do something amazing in your business, you like to do a small coaching session. Those are all different options. So
Arnett, I don't know if she's here, but she's
She
wonderful.
was.
She here?
she was.
Her and her husband are donating a free appraisal as a price. Annie Cannon is donating 2 nights at her Airbnb in St. George as a prize. So think big. It's not your normal casino night. We're going to have it on all 3 levels of the building. We're going to be out in the parking lot. We've got professional dealers coming, professional tables. We've got catered food. We've got full bar tenders, got live music. It's going to be a party. So bring your friends.
Absolutely. Thank you for adding all the details that I didn't. Yeah, but if nothing else, it's really just, we're trying to show our heart over there to Clint, and he is so appreciative. It's hard for him to communicate right now, but through a few people, a few channels, he is just deeply, deeply grateful for those that have already stepped up and tried to help him out. So this is a way that we can do that. Invite your friends, family, anyone that you feel like might be interested, but probably not kids, because there will be drinks there. Yep, gambling and drinks, probably not something that we bring kids to. Any questions or comments on this? Yeah, this was a turnaround, a big effort. Let's give Amy a round of applause on this. There's been a lot of people that put some effort into it, but Amy has seriously spearheaded this from as soon as we got the news, like, what can we do? And again, this is just who we are in our brokerage and what makes me so proud to be here and with you all. So yeah, thank you. Okay, we've got Meet the Masters. This is negotiation tactics. This is Cody's gonna be teaching that on the 15th at 1 o'clock. This you should also have in your email. Broker class, how to bulletproof your transaction in the market. That's on the 21st here. And we're bringing in Johnny. He's the regional director over the Utah region. And he is gonna be talking about getting your shift together to succeed in the market. As you can tell, a lot of these things are around the shift, because for a lot of people who haven't been through any shift, there's, I would guess, a large part of this room, we have not actually been through a full shift from start to finish. So it is important that we're going through all these things. That is on the 27th. Let's get to our panel. So we are excited. We're grateful that that we have these three people to come and talk to us. Annie, Mike, and Claire. We want to please come up here and let's give them a warm welcome as they make their way up. The other, oh, it's over there. Is this working? I think it's not as loud, but I think Zoom can still hear. So this is going to be interactive, and would love to know, want to have questions and comments from you guys. Do we already, Jake? Yes, we did. Yep, that was required. They are doing really well from the dress rehearsal. But yes, this is, I've got a couple questions myself. We'll start the rhythm going, but really want questions from you guys. If something comes up and they're talking, write it down so that we'll give you guys time to talk. So if you guys wouldn't mind, start by introducing yourself. There's some people that don't know you. Tell us about yourself and maybe something fun that you would like to share about your personal life.
Okay, is that better? Yep. Okay, my name's Annie Cannon. I've been here at KW for 4 years now, almost. So I love it here. I've been an agent for, it'll be 20 years in June. So coming up on that big milestone. And it's been a great career for me. I started in new construction and I've tried to leave new construction a few times and I kind of find my way back there. So right now I represent a builder in Utah County that keeps me pretty busy, but I've always kept my resale business going as well. I've never just solely worked for a builder. So that's been great. As far as my personal life, gosh, not a lot of extra stuff. I have 3 kids that I love. They keep me super busy. My daughter's a softball player. We have fun with that. And I love design and I'm in the middle of a remodel right now. So that's like a big part of my job and my life. And we can talk more about that later, but yeah.
Testing. Mike Carmody. I think I'm 27 or so years in the business, been with KW since 2003-ish, somewhere around there. I run an SOI business, meaning I just pretty much repeat and referral. Business is kind of secondary to, I got 2 girls, big into soccer and skiing, and I like flying airplanes and gymnastics. My wife is actually a national gymnastics judge, so kind of a cool influx in our family. But just enjoy doing the business, and it's been no complaints. So it's been a good living. There's always in sales, I think you're always looking for that next deal. And that hasn't changed in the time I've been in the business. So looking forward to talking a little bit about this subject today. I'll turn it over to Claire.
What Mike didn't tell you is that you're all here because he was one of the original investors that brought KW to Salt Lake. Actually, Utah. We had one small office, right? And Mike and I partnered in that a long time ago. My name is Claire Gunn. I'm now 46 years in the business. Started at Glenmore Village as a receptionist, and ultimately went right into new construction. We built 387 homes in that area around the golf course and built the back 9. And they're tournament crazy right now. If you haven't played Glenmore, I'm obviously a golf person. I love my sports, but my business has primarily also been built around SOI. We have 3 investment groups that we also work with on their personal investments and what they're doing. And I'm really excited to share probably my 5th dip, as we want to look at it, is just exactly what we looked at. So I'm excited to be here and have this opportunity today.
So I'd love to, I think this is on. Love to know, like, because you've been through several shifts yourself. And this is, of course, we're trying to get the ideas of, as we're going through these shifts, what is your overall thoughts and your mindset as you're like beginning, as you're seeing things? Because right now I'd say we're already in the middle of a shift. What have you seen as you've gone through multiple shifts yourselves?
I got a microphone. Here we go. Ultimately, what we've seen in the last 4 shifts as we progressed in, this particular one is really basically just bringing us back to a regular market. What we've all experienced pretty much is the fact that our interest rates have traditionally been between 5 and 8% when we first all started. So this is just something that's putting us back. You guys got the cream of the crop opportunity when we were looking at 2.5 and 2 3/4. But ultimately what it all boils down to is just refocus on your business. You know, like right now, for example, I think what we're looking at is primarily we're going to be seeing how many mortgages we can actually assume with regards to that lower interest rate, and see the new wraps that are coming back around that we actually witnessed. My notice of defaults have now doubled in the last 2 weeks. So you're wanting to look at a lot of that. And what I'm seeing too is we're seeing more probate. So you're going to get a team together with regards to your Power Team 100 that actually can deal with that and can expedite that process. There's a ton going on, folks. It is a really good time to be in real estate.
Okay, Claire. Mike Ferry said it best. I think regardless of the market conditions, there's people out there that need to buy and sell today. My job's to go find them. I can't control the rates. I can't control prices. This dip does feel, it certainly doesn't have the feel of 2008. That was a little crazy, but we all made it through that. In fact, we opened this office in 2008 and we're still here, so it's all right. I'm just looking at challenges for obviously interest rates, but you know, prices are coming down a little bit. John nailed it. We just got to educate my clients. When it comes to listings and pricing them, that's a little tricky. I picked up a great tidbit from Tyler a few weeks ago or a couple months ago where you talked about, I ain't looking at sold listings, sold comps, because those were yesterday's prices. And it takes a little bit with your clients. If you're meeting with somebody, it's all about, if they're motivated, they will price their home to sell. If they're not motivated, don't take the listing. Real simple. But we have to educate people on what pricing is doing, and it's probably for another class if you haven't taken it. I know we teach some of this stuff around here, how to avoid the, you know, chasing the market down. Okay, so it all starts with us, as John said, is educating our clients, whether we're working on a listing or you're going to be working with a buyer. There's pros and cons. We just need to get them through it. But there's motivated people out there. In 2008 to 2013, when we dropped 35% out of this market. So if we see a 10 to 15% correction here, we're still doing pretty good. Claire mentioned we're just coming back to normal. That last 10% that we went up at this time last year, we've already given that back. So just educate your clients on it. We can't do anything about prices and rates. And one last thing, maybe you get to it, is people ask me all the time on that. Lots of showings, no offers. You are 3 to 5% too high. No showings, no offers, you're 7 to 10% too high. Now your client's not going to hear the 3 to 5. They're not going to hear the 5. They're not going to hear the 10. But that's a great rule of thumb within the first couple of weeks. If you're not, make the recommendations to your clients before you take the listing of what to expect on it. And because that is a rule of thumb that has the time I've been doing it, it's like clockwork. You do the reduction, you reset. If you don't get offers, you keep doing your reduction. So anyway,
Yeah.
Before you pass, can you expound on your comment? You said it doesn't feel like 2008. That what we're in right now doesn't feel. For those that haven't been there, can you explain the differences? at the point?
yeah. How many people have heard we still have a housing shortage? Okay, my opinion is BS. Because if we had a housing shortage, we'd be getting multiple offers on everything. What my opinion we have an affordable housing shortage. We got plenty of inventory out there. We're not overloaded, but in 2008, guys, we really, I mean, there was bank owns, there was short sales. We had 5-10 times the amount of inventory, and buyers had an awful lot of choices. And that really just we were on a free fall for a couple of years of prices just continuing to drop. Okay. People got used to it. They understood, yeah, if I sell now, I'll get a little more than I will next year. Right. And so that's the difference. Is we're not overloaded with inventory, but I think everybody's been on this safety of the past 90 days and talking with their clients, myself included, that the good news is we're not overloaded on inventory. Yeah, that's some good news, but that inventory that's sitting out there isn't selling because frankly, nobody can afford these houses when you're dealing with a 6 and 7% interest rate. So sellers that need to sell got to drop their price. They got to bring people in. So inventory is the biggest thing. We really start seeing we double and triple our inventory over the next couple months. Sharpen your skills.
Yeah, I would echo both of these guys. And then I would just add, you're going to hear a lot. There's a lot of noise out there. Facebook knows me well, it knows you well, and it's pushing real estate articles at me every day. And some of them are worth my time and others I don't think are. And I would advise you to, educate yourself, but be cautious at what you're taking in and how much weight you're giving it, and get your boots on the ground. And if your boots aren't on the ground, then talk to someone who's are, because I think that's the indicator of what's happening, right? I can tell you what's happening in Murray because I have 3 listings in Murray. I can tell you what's happening in Salem because I have 3 listings in Salem. And I don't care what's happening in Alabama, So real estate is very local. And I think it's even more local than the state or even the county. It's neighborhood local. And so be aware of that as you take listings and talk to potential clients or existing clients. Be very hyper aware of the market that you're in.
Yeah, we got a question, guys, real quick. So I've been in business 6 years. For those that have been in the business, same as me or less, we've only seen up, short of inventory. You put a house on the market, sells in less than 2 days. So I'm starting now to get plenty of conversations where people are telling me prices are dropping. I don't want to buy right now. I'm going to buy next year when prices drop even more, right? How do you keep the urgency to those buyers of, hey, no, it is still a good time to buy. You don't need to wait. How would you answer that question when people are wanting to wait instead of buy right now?
Well, I always like to make a joke of when people ask me about the market, I say it's a great time to buy and it's a great time to sell. And I just think that's so funny when agents say that because it's too cliche for me. It's like, but this is the thing. If it's a good time for you, it's a good time, right? Because I don't think anyone has ever regretted a real estate purchase 10 years down the road. So for me, it's like, well, if you're doing this to flip it in a year, then let's think about that for a minute. But if you're doing this because you need a place to live and you just had a 3rd kid and you only have 2 bedrooms, then now's a great time to buy. So, assess the need.
I think one of the funnest things we heard in More Club was fall in love with the house, not the rate. And so I think if we take that attitude by we're basically looking at the fact of, if I can see a consistent over time 6 to 8% increase. I mean, we might not see that this year, but real estate continually. I mean, these guys can also attest to the fact that when we were back in the early 80s at 17 to 23%, it was a tough game. But our houses that we're selling now for 460,000 were 46,000, or 550, they were 55 with a double car garage. And they're the same dang house. So, you know, be aware of all of this. This is an investment that you're looking at to cement a future. So today's the day, you know. We don't know how much further they're going to go down. I've got a couple in Sugar House right now that we're looking at, you know, the prices have fluctuated. Now they're back up. So that's location, location, location. So just have that awareness.
Mike, you had kind of talked about pricing now, and how we've kind of given away 10%, yet that last 10% that we gained there. And I think one of the challenges right now in gaining listings is you are up against a lot of agents that will go in there and will show them comps that really aren't applicable, but people love to hear that their house is maybe worth more than it really is. And so it's a little bit of a battle there, setting the right expectation, winning the listing, while there's somebody in their ear saying that their house is worth $30,000, $40,000 more than it probably really is in the market. So in addressing that, what are some scripts or something that you might use with people to set the appropriate expectations for this market?
A good question, and because that's the reality of this market, and tell people that there are agents desperate enough for business that they'll take a listing at any price. I don't typically do that. My worst case scenario, I'll take it $30,000 overpriced and make sure they sign a price reduction on it. But I'm there for an hour and a half just pounding it into them mercilessly, that I don't know everything about the market. I can just use my experience dictate. I'm not focusing a lot on comps. I know their neighbor got 950. If they want to try that, they need to understand they'll get more in the first 30 days than you will anytime thereafter. I wish I could track that stat. Would you agree with that? Okay. The other one, and I'm varying a little bit, they tell me, well, the right buyer hasn't shown up. You're correct. But when the right buyer shows up, they're not going to write an offer on your house when it's been on the market for 90 days. And they sure as heck ain't going to write it anywhere near your price if they do, right? So it's educating them on the market will tell us where we need to be in up until let's say March. The market will tell us where we need to be in 48 to 72 hours. And you had a bunch of offers and it was great. Now the market will tell us where we need to be 7 to 10 days. If we get 5 to 6 showings that first 7 to 10 days and you don't get an offer on it, there's nothing wrong with your house. I'm just direct. You're just overpriced. And all the marketing in the world isn't going to sell the house. I can do an open house, advertise at halftime at the Super Bowl. People aren't going to care. They want it. And do they want a deal more now than ever when they're looking at the interest rate? Sure. So John, back to that is, yeah, I think it's just educating. And I'm always prepared to come out and I don't need to take the listing because I have, and I still do it and I still screw up and I take listings from people that aren't motivated to sell their home. And those are the ones you toss and turn over. And am I doing enough? Oh, should I get somebody to cover an open house? All this. I'm not doing that anymore. When you give your first listing back, it will be a changing point in your career. Someday you guys will know what I'm talking about on that. But I think it's just having the skill sharp. I'm just honest with them. I don't think that's the price. I'm looking at a lot of actives right now and seeing, and we don't need to be, if everybody else is at 950, we need to be at 900. And guess what, guys? I just had one 2 weeks ago in Murray. I come in 15 grand below the comps. We have multiple offers on it. Guess what? We got more than, we're under contract at more than comps. So the market is still, it's not all doom and gloom, but it's just having that conversation with them on, I just flat out tell them, listen, yeah, I can make 5 calls and I can have 5 real estate agents come down here and they'll all tell you 50 grand more than me and they'd be happy to take your listing. Do you want to be listed or do you want to sell? So does that help?
You mentioned one of the things on there that was get a price reduction up front. Can you explain that process, how you get that done? I think multiple people do this. So whoever wants to talk on that, I just noticed maybe we could dive into that a little bit more and help us understand how we can apply that or use that in our business.
On our MLS form, change form back.
I do too. In fact, I have one on my computer just because.
Can I just address that real quick? simply, guys, just telling them, listen, if we're going to start at 9:50, if we don't have an offer or on this particular day, if we're not under contract, I'm going to have you pre-sign. It's a little bit of work. Okay. But what it does is plant the seed. If they don't sign it at that time, I'm calling them on that day, remember? And I'm sending it to them for .loop to sign. And just tell them, if you want to sell the house, you need to reduce the price on it. If they're motivated, they will do it. If they're not motivated, I've wasted my time and theirs. You have to get get it in writing, and I'll let Claire.
And I just do it. I just do it right. The listing presentation is part of the process. If in fact we can see that in this length of time, we're going to sit here and agree today is exactly what our strategy is. And I'm very, very clear on that education on just exactly where we're headed with this. You know, what your motivation is probably my biggest concern. And how anxious are you to be involved in the game?
I think that's the biggest thing, is just assessing the motivation. As long as that's there, and then you just make them aware. I need to get more things in writing, by the way, but just at least have that conversation of, you know, this is not my recommendation. I'm happy to try it for a minute, but not for very long, because like Mike said, you're going to get that highest value in those first days on the market. And so that's not doing your client any service by letting them name the price and them name the marketing strategy. That's why they've hired you. So yeah, I would say just to really assess the motivation. If someone says to me, oh, we're just testing the market, I'm like, I'll let someone else help you with that. Call Mike.
So that's a good point. I don't know how many of us have had a listing where we say, hey, in 2 weeks, we're going to lower the price. They agree. And then 2 weeks comes and they're like, no, I want to keep it at this price. So having something in writing could definitely help that conversation up front. Is this a question?
Yeah. What's kind of your, I guess, when do you change those prices? Is it 10 days? Is it 14? Is it every 7? Like, what's kind of your guys' go-to drop?
Is this,
Oh,
no,
there you go.
okay. So for me, it's dependent on the market. It's just that going back to being hyper aware of what's happening. So like Mike was saying, back in March, we knew within 72 hours if we were priced right or not. That is definitely shifting. And I agree with him that maybe within 7 to 10 days, you know. And I also agree with the fact that once you exceed 30 days, still, I would say you're considered like an old listing, and people are looking to negotiate price. So the sooner the better. But, you know, it's important too, as an agent, to have a marketing plan and get, you know, great photos, open houses, whatever you're doing, do it out of the gate so that your client knows, okay, you've done everything you can do. It's not working. It's got to be priced, instead of, well, hey, you didn't even do an open house, or these photos are horrible, or, you know.
Right.
I know for a fact, Hiram, that you're the one person that would actually go after them and literally drop it within probably the first 2 weeks, right? Well, I know the strategy for my buyers. If it's been on more than 22 days, we're coming in lower. So just a thought. I think too, one of the things that we have to be really, really cognizant of is condition is really important right now. We've all seen some really bad houses more recently. And especially if you're trying to cater to a lower market where they may have been in the market for a while, and all of a sudden they're looking at a double payment. We've been showing kind of the 330, 350 range. And ultimately, guys, I think if we can consult these folks to the point where they understand, you do need to clean the bathtub ring, you know? I mean, hello, guys. It's a really sad situation with regards to our first time home buyers right now. When they're looking at that price range, and Utah Housing is telling them your payment's going to be $2,600.
So I guess a question for you guys is, last year at this time, how many days on the market before your clients were asking, what's wrong with that property? Why didn't it sell? So 7 days. I was thinking 5, people were saying to me, it's been on the market 5 days. What's wrong with it?
Yeah.
Okay. What is it now? There's your time to get your price reductions done. But yeah, ultimately before that, listen, I mean, I don't want to make it sound like it's easy to get price. It all starts before you put the property on the market. Do I take overpriced listings? Absolutely. Always have, probably always will. I'm not perfect, but I know that I have to run people through it in your situation there with it. What I'm telling people now is if I'm just using a number, if they're listed at, would you like 850 now or 775 6 months from now? Because what's going to happen in spring? When does everybody want to list their house? What's that going to do to our inventory? Interest rates aren't going to drop back down to 2%. So I'm betting that we're going to continue to see a decline. We'll level off a little bit because we'll have less inventory. And I think I love November, December, and January, 3 favorite months of the year on it. Most springs in a normal market, which we have not seen in 12 years, most springs prices decline a little bit. We sell more houses. Sales are up, prices are down because you have more competition. So I'm not afraid to just tell people right now, all signs are indicating the wonderful mortgage minute we got on that, rates aren't going to start dropping. Okay. Best case, they're going to stabilize. The higher rates go, lower prices are going to go. So, depending on the price range, you want 850 now or 775 in 6 months. Folks, I don't care. It's your decision. It's your house. If you just want to stay on the market, but I'm just telling you what it is, and be prepared to, I had a conversation with some folks the other day. We need to do a price reduction, or I need to look at taking the listing off the market because I'm stigmatizing you. Okay.
Yeah, Hiram, I would just add to that. And I would just tell you exactly what I would do right now. If it were me, I would say, hey, I would call my sellers right after this meeting and say, hey, I was just in a meeting this morning and met with a great mortgage lender, and it's sounding like the numbers are not looking great, and rates are gonna go up again. This is gonna put downward pressure on buyers and prices, and we need to get ahead of it. So let's do a price reduction right now. I'll do a huge open house this weekend. We'll do a big push and get this under contract this weekend before we see rates go up.
Great advice. Yep. So decreasing values does not necessarily have to mean decreasing business for us, right? What do you guys do when you're in a shift? If there's anyone that feels a little bit of fear or anxiety, or just it's just a different hard than what we've experienced, what mindset do you use to get yourself through it? What advice can you give us on that?
I think we can all celebrate this market right now. Ultimately, where all three of us are very sphere of influence based, and we're out really truly, there's an old saying, and because I'm vintage, I'm not gonna say I'm old, I'm vintage. But there's the old saying that says you have to circulate, you have to circulate to percolate. So in other words, if you don't have your head down and you're not doing the things that we all know are the basics of educating our clients, of being in touch, of letting them know what they can expect all of the time. That's the beauty of Keller Williams with your 8 and 8 and 33 touches, or however you take that out. You have to keep people informed so that they too are not afraid of exactly what they're hearing, because right at the moment we understand our country has some really chaotic issues. And with regards to that, they've got to be feeling really, really comfortable in their decisions. Do we hold? Do we go? What do we do? And so it's up to you to create that synergy around the business.
What she said. There's people out there today that need to buy and sell. Go find them. I love a down market. I've been waiting for this. It's unfortunate it happened so abruptly, but what I mean by a down market is, guys, that was cool if you had listings. It was cool if you had listings coming in, because you take a listing, you're like, dude, I'm getting paid like 32 days on this house. Okay. So I've been 27 years, and let's say that was about 3 years worth. So for 24 years, it wasn't like that. There's blips, but on the flip side of it, how hard was it for buyers? Buyer can go out and buy a house right now and actually get a seller to pay their closing cost, and they might actually get 20 grand off. Clara mentioned it. I've heard it said is marry the house, date the rate. We're going to become very buyer centric now, even with rates. Who cares if rates are 7-8%? Would the lender in here agree that more than likely in about 24 months, you're probably going to be refinancing out of that when rates come back down? Okay. But you got into your house at a lower value. You didn't have to come in and do $5,000 non-refundable earnest money. You didn't have to waive your inspection. You actually got the seller to pay for a home warranty. You got the seller to pay 7 to 10 grand of your closing cost, or I don't know, buy down if you feel like whatever, right? Could you do that? Could you have done that in the past 3 years? Yeah. So it's just flipping it around a little bit in education. We're, taking care of it. It's easier for buyers. Yeah, rates are up. Who cares? You're not gonna have that rate for 30 years. I guess you can if you want, and when they hear that, it's like, oh, I'm like, yeah, most people, if they've owned a house before, ask them how many times they've refinanced over the past 10 years. And more than likely, they're going to say 3 or 4 times. Okay. So go buy your house at 6.25. You're into your house. You save 10 grand because you didn't have to pay your closing costs. So that's just, it's not all doom and gloom. And yeah. Yeah. And we have to be the expert. I have people call me all the time. I read an article. Cool. I'll read it. I'll give you my opinion on it. So be the expert for them. Both. Your operative word was motivated.
Yes, that's the key word.
Great. The tricky part though is your affordability is lower. And so it's like, cool, like I want to get a house, but with these high rates, I can only afford a townhome. So what if I try to wait until prices go down so I can get a single family house? Because I think a lot of first time home buyers are on the edge of a nice townhome or a smaller single family. But it's like, as rates go up, your affordability goes down, which means your price point goes down, which means the size of house and quality of house you're getting is lower. So how can you help overcome that situation?
I'm looking at their first investment property. I don't know about you.
And just get it, and get it in their head.
Let it cash flow the next one.
If you're trying to time I have not yet met anybody that's timed the market. As rates go up, prices are going to drop. As rates come back down, prices are going to go back up on it. It comes down to a motivation. Does it work for you right now? But you've hit on something that there's a really good article in KSL yesterday. I don't want the title of it, but it's about real estate nationally and locally here. So read it. I thought it was really good. And what we got a lot of people sitting out there that most of the people that own their home and they got a bunch of equity and they got a 2.5% interest rate. Okay. They're going to be a little bit tough to get them. But guys, I got some folks doing that. They found the house that they wanted and they wanted horse property in Sandy. They have to sell their house. All those people that had to sell their house go out and especially in the upper price range, going to be a lot easier. Sellers will take the contingencies. When have you been able to do that? They're just looking at the difference. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm getting rid of my 2.5% on my 15-year mortgage, but I got a boatload of equity and I still need a little bit of a mortgage and I'm going to be paying 6%. They're motivated. They do the math. It's going to suck for a couple of years. They're going to pay a little bit more interest, but they're getting into a house that they want. And so what was the operative thing? That they were motivated to do it, but it's just back and forth, but I have the conversations with them and just, the pros and cons on it. Sure. You can wait till prices drop a little bit more, but by the time you do that rates, it's just timing the market just never works. It's just hard to do. I've never been able to.
Also, I think what we're seeing too a lot through the investment groups is we're looking at a lot of seller financing. There's still a great deal of cash in the market. And so we're looking at seller financing. And if you've got a qualified assumable 2.5, they're interested in doing some type of a wrap or something else along that line. So you're going to see a lot more of that strategy also. That's just taking us back to some of the earlier days when we knew what we actually were dealing with. So be mindful of that.
Okay. This is my last question. So if you guys have questions, be thinking about that. And I would just love to know from you guys, what would you say if you were to put your focus and energy into something right now, knowing all of the shifts that you've been through, where we're at right now, what is one thing that you would suggest for us that we might be able to apply in our business?
Okay, so for me, I've kind of already started making a little bit of a shift in my business. I started staging about 5 years ago. And there was a time when didn't need to stage anything. It wasn't worth the time and effort to do it. And so it's been fun to bring that back. And I've taken a couple expired listings and been able to stage them and sell them fast. And I love that. I'm super passionate about that part of the business. And so I've just like started down this road with just kind of basically trying to kind of paint myself as an expert in staging and design and real estate. And I guess that would be my thing is like, find, I've said this before, but find your expertise and hone in on that and be the expert. And people will always seek out an expert, especially now. And so whatever that is, maybe that's not your thing, but whatever your thing is, just to hone in on that and be the absolute expert, and people will find you.
Real quick, it's kind of coming back to your question on that as well. Based the past 3 years, I didn't chase after buyers. I didn't really want to deal with buyers and have to go out and I had a real strict criteria of who I was going to go work with. And what happens is you end up giving business away. But now I would be shifting, even with, maybe it sounds nonsensical, as rates are going up, I would shift with buyers because they're just, who cares about the rate? Again, that's a temporary thing. They're finding better deals and they don't have to go off for 50 grand over asking and do all this non-refundable. They can get the seller to fix the furnace if it's broke. Okay, because we're going to see sellers start to look at, looking and considering these lower offers, and as prices come down. So I think for me, it's kind of looking to see these people that wanted to buy is calling, having a conversation. Don't worry about rates. It's a much better buying climate. So take advantage of it. Get into your property now and worry about your rate in a couple of years, and you'll just refinance. So
I agree with all of that. Also, I think probably what you're wanting to do is really take advantage of the opportunity to really reach out to your sphere of influences and your power team so that they understand exactly what we're seeing with regards to the market. They're your strongest referrers, and referral business is always that much better, and take really good care of them for doing so. I really honestly believe that our database is golden right now. And so be sure you hit it really, really hard. I think your events are really, really important at this point in time. Obviously our office is doing a bang up job with regards to that right now. So I'll give a huge plug out for, if you're not participating, I just have to share with you that if they don't show up, it's great. They've at least had that invitation and they know you're thinking of them. And if they're seeing the social media things afterwards, they go, dang, we missed. It's kind of one of those things. So I'd say your client appreciating events are huge right now, because we're going into a situation where you're going to see Tyler's going to have pies upstairs and, pumpkin pies, right, Tyler?
Yep.
And we're going to start seeing a lot. And now's a really good time. Our Death by Chocolate will be coming up again. And I'm hoping that we'll all take advantage of those things. If you get 5 people showing up as you've invited 150, they know that you're at least an appreciation of them. So that's really one strong strategy. I do a 12 direct newsletter situation that reminds them that of what's going on, and try and give a synopsis as clearly as we possibly can, define it if it's definable, as to essentially where we're sitting. Back to Derek, if you've got somebody, who's on the fence, ultimately, I would certainly remind them that here's the opportunity that you have as far what the positive things are with regards to purchasing now, because basically if interest rates increase and you've still got prices that are still here and that they're going to go up, they're not going to be in the game. So that's one of the things that we can also see, and that fall in love with the house, not the market. I have to think that was you, wasn't it, Lisa? Yeah. I thought it was a great comment. I've used it often. Thank you.
Excellent. Does anyone have any last questions? Guys, you were awesome. Let's give them all a big round of
I want the
applause.
old market back.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
On their note, I realized that we didn't share anything about the pumpkin patch that we have, the event coming up from the office. The Kuahara Farms, that is coming up October 5th. Do you want to share some more details on that?
All right, so we have our pumpkin patch event. We did this
Annie is a part
last
of our
year.
our event committee, and so yeah, she's
Yeah.
perfect for explaining all this.
Yeah, so we've been working with Kuahara again. It's going to be October 5th, 5 to 9, $8 per person. The office is going to be providing donuts and milk. The hot chocolate was a little bit intense last year, so we're gonna try to streamline that a little bit. But it's really fun. It was so much fun last year. We had a great turnout. It rained. We were worried about the weather. It ended up clearing off, and we had an awesome turnout. So I had a lot of clients show up to that one more than probably any other event. And I think people just get excited about fall and Halloween, and it's also a very convenient location right off the freeway. So easy access for people. Definitely, if you have any questions or need help with like the Eventbrite or anything like that, just reach out to me. I can answer those questions for you too. Ooh, I just text and email people. I don't know. I've never done the postcard. You can do it through command. I don't know the timing of that. And then Canva too. You could order printing through there. Yeah. Do it right now. Yeah. Okay, good to know. Yeah. Probably Canva.
I'm curious, who here is taking advantage of that event by a show of hands? All right, cool. The events are huge. Just, you don't have to invite a ton of people if you're money conscious, and just put aside $150, do the math, whatever, at 8 people, and invite double that amount. And if you get 50%, but it's a good way to get started. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You get all the people that that are out of town, so you can send the event. Listen, money conscious on it, but the events, if you're not plugged in to doing events, you're missing the boat. You're just missing the boat. Take your top 5 people, go find the 5 people that I start with. My invitations are who referred me, not people that closed, who referred me a deal since last year's pumpkin patch. And that's the first invites. And maybe that's as far as you get. And then we open up, okay, clients that close, perennial people that come, but start with the people that called you and referred you a deal.
Love that. If you're trying to target finances, I have found just in my own tracking that roughly 30% will show up that you actually invite.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So work your top 50 really heavy right now, your top 50 people right now, because ultimately that can be worth well over 692,000, right? Open house class.
That's right. Yep. Excellent. Thank you very much. Let's give him one more round of applause, and let's eat some
Thanks for
lunch.
being here.
Thank you again, Intraland.
Thank you, God. I think it's